Hey guys, this is Eckhart Slaughter. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars video. But before we get into that boring stuff, I want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. This year's been hard for a lot of us. It's been tough for me in some ways, especially now that I've got a new kid, but can't always see my family like I'm used to with the quarantine stuff. But although we're not at the end of the year, I think Christmas is a good time to say thank you for being a great part of my life this year and for helping me get through everything. And I hope that I also made things a little bit easier for you. That being said, I'm actually recording this the night before Christmas Eve. I don't have much time, so what I'm going to do is just put some Star Wars Squadrons footage up for you guys to watch, and you can listen, and I will be checking it when I get some time on Christmas Day, and I do think it's important to provide entertainment even on days like today. One more thing before we get started. We've been doing a lot of Mandalorian and Mandalorian associated content on this channel recently, and that's just because the show is so hot. The videos do really well. That's sort of a selfish reason, but another selfish reason is the fact that I also really like covering the Mandalorian. Obviously, we're running out of topics to cover now that the show is almost over, and I want to say that by January, we'll pretty much be back to normal, so if you're really not interested in this type of video, or the videos that we've been putting out recently, things will go back to normal. Just hold on for another week or so. Anyway, so today we're not talking specifically about the Mandalorian, but rather the bevy of shows that were announced at the Star Wars Investors Conference, or the Disney Investors Conference, the Star Wars section, and in total, right now, including the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, I think we have like 11 Star Wars TV shows coming out at some time in the future, plus the future Rogue Squadron movie and whatever else. That being said, when it comes to the amount of content here, not every TV show is created equally, and that's where I really want to focus today's discussion on. Alright, so before we begin, there's some very, very important terminology that we need to discuss, and that's the use of series, limited series, and event series. In that order, those names basically describe a show of decreasing length. A series is pretty much of indefinite time. It could be, 6 seasons, it could be 2 seasons, depending on its success, but it indicates a show without any real endpoint within a season or two. When I think of a limited series, I typically think of a show that's maybe 6 to 8 episodes, perhaps up to 2 seasons, but with a more contained story that it's going to tell. A popular limited series right now would be Queen's Gambit, which looks like it may only be 1 season of 7 episodes. Another good example would be the HBO Watchmen series, which was 9 episodes and which will not be getting a second season. An event series has even fewer episodes, at least typically. Although I would say I think the distinction really starts to break down at this point, and the key difference is between a limited event series and a regular series. There's actually an interesting article on The Hollywood Reporter about this, which is one of the first results you'll find if you Google event series. Anyway, with that information in mind, and again, really focusing on the distinction between a regular series and everything else, because I think that's the most clear delineation, let's take a look at Star Wars' announcements of these various shows. And I said Ahsoka might disappoint some people, because Ahsoka most likely will not be the follow-up series to Star Wars Rebels. StarWars.com specifically calls it a limited series starring Rosario Dawson and executive produced by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So in my mind, this is a series with a very clear small story that it intends to tell, and one which may then transition into perhaps an animated, perhaps a live-action Star Wars Rebels sequel. The Mandalorian, on the other hand, is a regular series, and the other prong of that sort of trident that is coming out is Rangers of the New Republic, which is also being described as a full live-action series. Lando, on the other hand, has a brand new event series, according to the StarWars.com page. I'm kind of wondering whether this will be a very, very short series, maybe like 6 episodes. My theory is that it will be old Lando telling the stories of young Lando, so it'll bring in both Billy D. Williams and Donald Glover, but that's just pure speculation. The Obi-Wan series is also described as being a special event series. Again, I think this is going to be a very small thing, almost like a long movie split up into pieces, maybe like the old Dune 2000 TV series, which was like 3 episodes and told a very movie-like story. We don't know very much about the Cassian Andor show. I don't think StarWars.com even describes the type of show it'll be, which is sort of interesting because it's probably one of the first that we will see. The Acolyte is described as a series as well, indicating that it could have a longer runtime, which makes me happy because this is one of the shows that I'm most excited for and also operates in a time period more free of the other shows because there's not a whole lot going on in the High Republic era, besides for, of course, the ongoing or soon to be ongoing comic and book series, but when it comes to TV shows, it's not like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic where they're all sort of bumping against each other. We also have The Bad Batch, which of course is described as a series. My theory here is this will basically be the follow-up to the Clone Wars. I think that's almost certain at this point. I think we'll even see some Clone Wars plot threads, maybe from the unfinished episodes, picked up in The Bad Batch. And I do believe that this will be a long-running animated series. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if The Bad Batch got 4+ seasons, because I think it's really good for Disney to have a ongoing Star Wars animated series, or maybe even 2, if they could get Rebels, or the Rebels sequels, and The Bad Batch running at once. I think that would be really good. Star Wars Visions, which is very different from the other shows, gets even different nomenclature. It's just described as a series of animated short films. That makes sense. These will all be distinct. I'm low-key excited for this series. Like, I think people are sleeping on it. There should be 10 episodes, and I think they're going to be great. Finally, we have the later announced Book of Boba Fett, which we know is coming December 2021. I was surprised. I couldn't remember before I checked this out, but this is also being described as a series. I know a lot of people thought that this would sort of just slot in as a quasi season 2.5 of The Mandalorian and maybe never come back, but it seems like this could be an ongoing series with multiple seasons, which I find really exciting because it gives The Mandalorian, I think, a bit more room to breathe, because it can tell the story of Boba Fett without having to stick it in that show, if that makes sense. And on that note, before I finish off this video, I do want to talk about something very briefly related to the Book of Boba Fett. I might do a whole video on this, but a lot of people messaged me after the Good Morning America announcement of the show, saying that they didn't think I'd be pleased because Robert Rodriguez, who of course directed Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian, would be on board as an executive producer for the show. So yeah, I did have some issues with the direction for Chapter 14. I thought some of it felt pretty fillery. There were some major issues with how the action played out, but that's not on Robert Rodriguez. I thought the episode was a bit too loosey-goosey. I thought there was some issues related to the directing of Tython, which maybe we can blame Rodriguez for, but we've learned since that episode came out that Jon Favreau basically gave Robert Rodriguez, who wasn't even initially supposed to direct the episode, a script totaling 14 minutes. So he had to take that writing and stretch it out to a full episode length, which is why we did get some of the extended action sequences. And the main problem with those action sequences was the fact that they went on for too long. They sort of lose meaning when you just have hordes of stormtroopers being mowed down. So I'm not going to blame Rodriguez for that. I'm really interested to see what else he can do with Star Wars, because there were some really interesting bits to that episode. Boba Fett hunting down stormtroopers was incredibly brutal for a Star Wars series. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do with the character from now on. And I just do look forward to a different type of filmmaking, perhaps, although we don't know whether he will also be directing. It's exciting, and I'm willing to give him all the chance in the world. I don't think my issues with Chapter 14 are representative of him as a director or a producer or whatever else. So yeah, until next time though, guys, this has been Eckhart's Letter. Again, I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas. Let me know what you got down in the comments, or if you celebrate another holiday, let me know what you celebrate, or if you just don't, let me know what you're doing. Until next time though, guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.